Hey, it's Sandy with Quilted Treasures and more. I hope you're having a super day. I know it is a little earlier than what I have done lives in the past. And some of you may be thinking, well, um, Sandy, it's been a while since you did a live. Yes, and there are quite a few folks who are brand new to the page who've never seen me go live. And it has been a minute that it has. So I thought, you know what, this morning I'm going to hop on real quick, just kind of give some updates that I'm still here and I'm still doing things. So that way, you know that I am around and I am working on stuff. And most of you've probably seen posts knowing that, yeah, we've seen your post. We know you're still doing things. But I'm sure some of you are like, well, I wondered what happened. Well, life happened. So I was like, okay, this morning I'm gonna get on. I'll do a quick little thing that I'm had in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just do that one live. So I'm gonna do a little desk sign this morning, and figured I would update everybody. And I'm trying to check all the points and make sure everybody can see me before I actually jump into this, because I've already had, you know, anytime you do anything with technology, inevitably you're going to have something that doesn't quite connect. So I've already had a couple of issues where I've had to do restart some things and whatnot this morning. So just trying to double check, make sure I'm everywhere I'm supposed to be. So if you're watching with me this morning, hanging out with me, just say hi, send me a wave, or hello, or where you're watching from. Like I said, we've got quite a few new folks that have jumped on to the Facebook business page. And I was hoping I would have the Facebook uh, group that I have in here as well. But that's one thing that popped up right as I went into Go here. And it's telling me that my group is not. So I'll have to just share this with the group afterwards. But anyway, so goes life. We will work around, we will adjust, we will back up and punt, as the saying goes. And my camera stand is falling down this morning. So if you suddenly see a camera in my right across the middle of my face, that is why. So I cannot get it to tighten and stay tighten this morning. So it's probably going, look, you haven't used me in 9 months. So I'm not going to work right this morning. It's okay. Deep breath. We'll get through it. So what's been going on? Well, life has been going on. Lots of things keeping us busy, just general life stuff, events and whatnot. And then with the business side, last summer, I opened a booth in a vendor mall in Pascagoula, Mississippi. So I've been learning how to work with um, keeping up with inventory in a small store type setting. So the vendor booth is inside the menagerie on Market in Pascagoula, Mississippi, on Market Street. And so I go and update my inventory, keep it stocked and fresh and seasonal, all that good stuff. Plus, I've got extra goodies in there. So a desk sign is actually one of the things that I actually do have in there right now. And so I was like, oh, I need to do another one and take it over this week. So, or a couple of more actually. So I was like, well, while I'm going to do one, I'll just hop on and do one with the group and say hi and let everybody know what's going on. So, all right, well, the stand is not staying, so we're going to see if by chance we can just adjust and maybe that'll stay put. So besides the booth, what else has been going on? Well, we have added in some new equipment, and we are upgrading some equipment. So hoping to see some more things added to the inventory and pieces. Also, um, see some, I don't want to say improvement because that's not really the point of the upgrade. The laser, I'm not sure how you improve on the laser. The laser is the laser. It just cuts my wood for me and etches the design on there for me. But the upgrade will be the ease of use for it. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's in the works. And then I've moved to a new space. For those who followed me and have followed me for many years, you're probably looking behind me going, where is she at? Because normally I would be coming from my kitchen dining room or my dining and kitchen area. And so I actually have moved to one of the bedrooms. I know you're thinking, boy, I bet your company loves you. Yes, yes, it's interesting when we have guests and family stay with us. They get to stay in the craft room now, so they're surrounded by all my stuff. You can wrong way. You can see the door hangers back here behind me, hanging up inventory that is hanging around back there. So yes, they get to venture into that. So, some new things that I'm doing. Let's jump to that because I want to get started on this and get it done here real quick with you. So, some new things that I'm doing for summer. I'm probably going to be adding in some little surfboards. I had an opportunity to do this one a couple of years ago and I started it but didn't finish it. So the other day I ran across it while I was cleaning. Yeah, it's time. You can't see the edges of this room, thankfully, but at least the part that you can see looks good, right? So I ran across this little surfboard and I was like, hey, that's a great little thing for summer. You can put it in a room, you can add it to your desk. So I'm going to be doing some more surfboards. So I started on this one the last week, I think. So I'm like, yay, I like surfboards. And I thought, well, you know what? I might could add some local things to it. So where I live, of course, Dolphin Island is a big thing. And so I was like, oh, seashells, that would be really cool. And then in Mississippi, of course, along the Gulf Coast, there's a couple of lighthouses. And I was like, oh, wow, we could add some lighthouses to it. So we'll see what we end up creating off of that. Another thing I started here a few weeks ago, and you may have seen a post, painting glass. Never thought I'd be doing that, but I did a couple of glasses and I'll hold it closer so you can see. A couple of glasses, added some polka dots. And yes, you can actually use these. So I actually added stripe, a long winding stripe to the stem on that one. So couple of new things there that I'm working on and have been working on. Try to put those where I don't break them. So now let's get to today's sign. Oh. Well, I'll work on the sign. I'll tell you about that. There will be some changes that you'll see coming up. Actually, I'm posting about it this afternoon. So you'll see some changes coming up. I have a group, which is what I was talking about earlier. My group has been closed out for whatever reason. So it's probably because I redid the name of it yesterday. And now my program that I use to record and do lives with is not seeing my group. So my group is actually changing. So the group has been family and friends who have followed me ever since I started this whole little adventure back when it was just a hobby. And they kept up with me that way, see what I was doing and all the fun stuff. So that group I am actually changing, and it is going to be behind the scenes. So there'll be little snips and clips of things that I'm doing as I'm doing. So you'll get to see me painting stuff. You'll get to see how messy the craft room actually gets and all that good stuff. So if you're a behind the scenes kind of person, you may really enjoy the group, and I'll have a link to that later on today where you can click over and join the group. If you're a DIY person, you watch me and you're like, oh, I'd love to do that, then the group would be the place where you want to hang out. And then the business page, you're going to see more. Maybe it'll stay this time. The business page, you're going to see more of the finished stuff. So you might see some short little videos from the bigger videos, but my creating videos are going to move to the group. So if maybe you just like to watch and relax with them. I've lost count of different ones who've told me, oh my gosh, I can't paint, but I just love to watch you paint. Visit the group. And again, I'll post, matter of fact, I'll put the link in the comments here. I did that on my phone, so I can't get to the link right now. When you know it, I'll get the link and drop it in the comments after the live. So if you want to go over and add yourself to the group where you can see, it's Quilted Treasures plus more. Instead of Quilted Treasures and more, it's Quilted Treasures plus more, because it's the inside scoop, it's behind the scenes, it's what's going on, it's what's coming up, and it's going to be the lives. So that's where my lives are going to take place, primarily there in the group. And then, like I said, I'll have some short stuff that I do here on the main business page. So while we're talking about that a little more, and if you have questions, drop them in the comments. Like I said, tell me, hey, let me know you're here watching this morning. I know it's early. I've had coffee, so hey, I'm geared up and ready to get the day going. But I've lost the sponge that I had in my hand. Oh, there it is. Wait, I know it was here somewhere. Oh, this is one reason why we're cleaning the craft room, because I've hit a point where my stuff has just grown and it no longer sits on the crafting table very well. So I have to rearrange quite often. And I'm like, oh, I'm tired of rearranging. Plus, springtime, and you get in that mood where you're just like, the trees are blooming, things are looking beautiful outside. It's time to get everything in a place, make it look beautiful. So you just kind of get that fever to get everything, all your ducks in a row, so to speak. So I'm ready to get the ducks in a row in my craft room. I actually moved everything back here, I guess last fall is when I actually moved back here. And so I'm away from the TV. You know, a lot of times I had to compete with the TV. And then video games. I had to compete with video games sometimes. So I'm like, okay, back here, things are a little quieter. I actually have a fan above me, so I can keep the fan going, keep myself a little cool. So I'm going to let this dry. You know what? I'm going to speed it up. Grab my little heat tool here, speed up the drying process. So basically, I'm just doing a simple desk sign today. I'm just going to add some flowers. I may come back and add words later. I haven't really picked a saying, so I'm just going to start this one. But like I said, it gave me a good chance to jump on, say hi, because it's been a minute, and just update y'all on everything that's going on. Like I said, I set up a booth in a local vendor mall late last summer. And so I've been learning how to juggle orders and inventory. And no, I'm not a pro at that, but I'm learning, and I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Always learning how to plan and schedule and work my time so that it's, I work smarter, not harder. I'm going to put a second coat on my little sign here because I really wanted a nice white. And what I may do is, after I do this, what I call blanket coat, And yes, I'm using a sponge, just a sponge you'd find in the kitchen. I didn't get this one from my kitchen, by the way. It's not one that's been used. I got it brand new out of the box. But it makes projects go quickly. So I like using it. And most of the time I use just the little solid one, but sometimes I'll grab this one. And what I mean by solid is just a solid yellow sponge. But this one actually has a scrubber on the back, and so I can distress with that scrubber. So that's what is kind of cool about using this one. There's a few ways to distress, but those are things that I'm going to do, you know, on my group page, because it's going to be more behind the scenes and how I do things. So if you are into that, if you are into crafting, if you like doing DIY kind of stuff, you like to make personalized gifts, like I said, I'll put the link in for the group in the comments after I finish the live. And there'll be a post later on today that'll have that link where you can go sign up for the group. And you can hang out with me and chit chat. Good morning, Miss Joan. Joan's one that's been hanging out with me since it was just the hobby days. So, all right, I think that looks pretty good. What I'm going to do is I am going to get a brush this time, and I'm going to go over this with a brush and just kind of spread a little bit of paint around. You know what? Actually, I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to water it down just a little bit. Yes, I do stir up paint with the stick end of my brush. Makes it convenient as far as having something to stir it with. I don't have to keep up with a stir stick or a popsicle stick. And then I just grab a baby wipe and wipe the end off. So we're all good to go. So I'm going to go over, you know what? I'm going to take me out of the picture here. That way you can see exactly what I'm doing. So let's do that. And this way you can see a little more of just what's going on here. So I'm just going to take a brush and kind of lightly go over one more time, because I want it to be, this one I want to be bright white. And like I said, this is just going to be a little desk or a little, you know, you could add it to a table grouping. You could add it to counter, kitchen counter, where you have, you know, maybe a vase and you just want something with a few words added, just to give it that little extra. So I'm just going over with the white. Now you might be thinking, well, what about the edges? You're painting the top. What about the edges? So the edges, when I get through with the top, I'll just flip it up on its side and I'll just paint around. Hey, good morning, Daddy. I told y'all when I started this venture, friends and family all jumped on and was curious as to what I was doing and following me. So, all right, so we'll give that a quick blast of heat. And then what we're going to do, we're going to jump off into one color. And I know you're probably thinking, one color? Really? Yes, we're going to do just one color. Now I'm going to do some variations on the color, but we're just going to use one color. And that color is blue. Now I'm probably going to lighten it up and give it just a couple of, oh, hey, good morning. So now my brother's jumped on. Yeah, we are family. Yep. And we just all jump on here together. So what I am going to do is just add a simple vase and some simple flowers on this particular desk sign. And then, like I said, I may come back with words, but for the moment, I'm just going to add the flower and the vase, and then we'll go from there. My thought process is do it with pencil first. You know what? I'm going to do it with pencil first. I try not to break out with just the paint without having a little bit of a process. So I'm just going to kind of lightly sketch. And I don't know, you probably can't see those lines, but they're there. I'm just going to lightly sketch. Just a simple vase. Now I'm not going to add my flowers because I want to be able to do that with, I want to be able to add my petals first. So I'm going to take a filbert tip brush. And if you don't know what that is brush that is flat, but it has a rounded end to it. So I'm going to take the filbert tip. Now that I've kind of got my vase sketched out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up using the filbert tip for all of it. Now, sometimes I would switch from a flat tip, which is just a regular paintbrush, flat brush, flat on the end. But I am just going to go with a filbert tip on this one. And I'm going to start with the vase. And all I'm going to do is just kind of go around the edge. I'm not going to do a lot of blue on the vase. I'm going to make it sort of a blue and white vase. So you'll see what I do here in just a few minutes. I'm going to add just a little bit of water, and I'm going to do this. Sometimes I would pour it or spray it directly onto what I was working on, but this time I'm just going to spray a little bit in another slot here. And this is going to almost get a kind of watercolor look. So you see how it thins out? And I can add a little more. A little more water and kind of pull it away to kind of break up that bold line. Now, this is just the start. This isn't the end. So if you're looking at it going, I don't know so much about that. It's just the start. It's not the end. All right. Don't know what happened there, but we'll put it back on regular view. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do this right side at the moment. I'm just going to leave it on this one side here. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here in just a minute. I'm going to set my filbert tip brush off to the side. And I am going to get a smaller angled brush. So this is an angled brush. It's just the bristles cut at an angle. I'm going to get it a little wet, so I'm going to dip it into the little section here where I've got my water. I'm going to add a little bit of white to one side, and then the point of it, I'm just going to lightly touch into the blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to work my way from the dark blue across the light blue, I'm going to work the white in, but not all the way. So it's going to have some kind of streaks to it. This will also allow me to come around to the other side and up the other side. Now I'm going to blend that in a little more in just a minute. But I want to work with this side just a little bit more. Now sometimes it helps if you take just a quick break, let it dry just a little bit, and then come back to it. Because sometimes all you're doing is just moving the paint around rather than blending the paint. I know that might sound a little weird. It's like, well, how do you move it around without actually blending? But it does happen. I know it sounds weird, but it does happen. So I've blended it just a little more. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to hit more white this time. I'm not really going to get any blue, because what I'm doing is I'm working toward having a lighter spot here in the middle. I'm just going to work my way around. And again, I'm going to hit white, not really the blue. Come around the left side. Oop, started seeing a little more blue than what I wanted, so I'll go back and pick up some more white. And this edge over here is still a little darker than what I want it to be. So I'll just keep working with the white. Until I get it the way I want it to look. So I actually just want that left or the right side here to have just a line of blue. and then for it to have more white in the middle. So I'm going to come back to the left side and start working in some white there. And maybe just a touch of water so that it doesn't get I call it bumpy. That's not really the term, but you can see your paint beginning to be kind of speckled rather than being smooth strokes. And I'll clean up the edge with some dark blue or either black, one of the two. Okay, so we're going to leave the picture or the vase alone for, it almost does look like a picture. I might put a picture. I might put a handle on it. We'll see where this leads. I'm going to come back to the filbert tip brush. And what I'm going to do with the filbert tip is I'm just going to start with my flowers. And that one may actually be a little too big now that I think about it. I don't know. Let me try it and we'll see. Now that I've painted my finger blue. Let's see. So for these flowers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip in blue on one side. And then I'm going to turn and dip in white on the other. So we're going to end up with a blue and white flower. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to make 4. You might be thinking, 4 what? 4 petals. I'm just going to work in a group of 4 going from one side to the other with my brush and just kind of blend it in, get the petal the size I want it to be, just working kind of back and forth. And the petals aren't going to look the same in all the flowers. So I may have a darker flower on this one, and I may have a lighter flower for the other one. And they'll just be mixed in. So all I'm doing right now is just making petals. I may want to make some smaller ones, in which case I can get a smaller filbert tip brush. And make some smaller petals for some smaller flowers. And once I get a pretty good amount of paint in my brush, I can kind of make all the petals without having to dip in the paint repeatedly. It just depends on how many flowers you want, how dark or how light you want your petals to be. Now, I will say that sometimes it gets to a point where it all wants to just mix, in which case what I do is I rinse the brush and I start all over. So this one is going to be a light colored one. And I'm just going to do it kind of real quick. And I'm not going to do another light colored one like that. We're just going to leave that one there. Now, I'm going to get a smaller filbert tip brush. And with it, I'm going to add in a few smaller ones. So again, just start working in groups of 4. Add a few. Smaller ones down at the bottom. And maybe one or two smaller ones up here. Or maybe just one. I'm going to add one out here. Come back with just a little more white on that one. Okay, so you may be wondering, well, what about greenery? I'm not going to add any greenery to this. And I know that sounds kind of weird because you're like, everything needs greenery. Well, this is just going to be kind of like a, oh, I forgot the name of them. I should have written it down. I remembered it earlier. Where you're just primarily working with one color, one or two colors, because actually this is two colors. So I'm just going to use white to make centers. And I may add a little bit here and there of smaller dots. I don't know. We'll see as we go along how this works. So I've got a really, really skinny, very fine liner brush here. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to take some blue and it's going to kind of come down like my stems. Good morning, Miss Linda. How are you? I caught up in my blue flowers and forgot to look up. So I'm not going to add like a stem for every flower, but I'm going to add some stems where you can see that they do come into the vase. Now, the vase itself is not clear. It's white and blue, so I don't have to worry about putting stems down into the vase itself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go around with this liner brush, the very edge, and I may actually come back with a darker blue. I don't know. I'm going to do it with this blue and see how it looks. I'm just creating a little bit of a cleanup around the edge where I got maybe just a little bit out of line when I was doing the shading. So I'm just going to clean everything up. Like I said, right now I don't have a saying picked out to put on this one, but I may. I'll look through and see if something stands out. If it does, then I'll add it to it. I can also take this the darker or the true shade of the blue that I used, and I can even do some cleanup around the edges of the flowers just to give it. I can add a little bit to the petals, make them look a little more defined. So I can come in a little. Not on everyone, but on some of them. But I'm not adding with black, so it's not like it stands out boldly. Sometimes I think simple designs are really, really pretty. Just one or two simple colors. Just to give a little extra to whatever grouping you've got sitting on a table or a bookshelf. Who knew lines took so much concentration, huh? Sometimes I do have to concentrate when I'm doing lines, or when, especially when I'm doing lettering. Okay, so I'm gonna get a sip of water real quick. Come back to my split view here and adjust my camera a little bit. So there is our simple little desk sign, flowers in a vase, blue and white. I've noticed quite a few home decor things in the blue and white coming back in style. So if you have a collection of blue and white dishes, vases, whatnots from time past, and you packed them all up and held on to them, well, looks like they're coming back in style again. If they may have been around, it may just be that I just noticed them. So you can probably drag those back out and do it again. So kind of like fashion, you look around and next thing you know, hey, I think I remember seeing those in the 70s, or I remember those from the 60s, or I remember wearing that in grade school. So everything seems to get its recycling, doesn't it? But real quick recap. Thank you so much for dropping on and hanging out with me this morning. Like I said, lots been going on around Quilted Treasures, and we've got some upgrading going on. And I now have the booth over in Pascagoula. It's inside a place called the Menagerie on Market. It's on Market Street there in Pascagoula. And then I'm making some changes between the main page, which is what you're watching me on now, unless you're on the YouTube channel. I also have a YouTube channel. You can always go and like and subscribe there as well. But the group has actually, one, changed names, and two, actually these type videos like I did here are going to be on that channel from going forward. I'll have some short things here on the main page, but the main page is going to be mostly the finished product and just little clips here and there. But if you like the inside scoop, or if you'd like to see behind the scenes, how'd she do that? That kind of stuff, then you can join my group. I'll drop it in the comments here right after I finish up the video, because I forgot to copy and paste the link before I started this. I'm telling you, I did have coffee. It just kind of got tossed to the side whenever my camera decided it wanted to fall down on me. So, hey. I will be dropping that, and there'll be a post about it later on today, this evening to be exact, about the difference between the group and the main business page. And so you can click and jump on the group as well if you've been in the group, because some of you have been around with me long enough. You're actually in both. You probably noticed yesterday some changes going on in the group, changing and updating and whatnot. So that's what's happening. So we're going to be more behind the scenes, inside scoop, what's coming up, and tidbits here and there, more in the group, as well as my technique lives, my painting and crafting lives. And then here on the main business page, it'll just be some short stuff, quick little, hey, look what I made kind of things, and probably more along the lines of video shorts and reels as opposed to the crafting and painting videos. So if you're into DIY, if you like to, even if you just like to watch somebody paint and craft and you just find that relaxing, I've had quite a few people tell me that, you are more than welcome in the group. And like I said, I'll drop the link in the comments and you just click over there and add yourself to the group and check out next time I go on live. But I am out of my time slot right now because I am learning to schedule my day in a very, precise way so that way I keep on track and get things accomplished that need to be accomplished. So, my time is up for today. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I will see y'all soon.